Hello, everybody. I was still muted. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Menorca Consciousness Group and the Etheric Web. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. On this blessed day in the West, especially at the moment. So we've got the lovely, absolutely beautiful Jennifer Rose joining us. She's kindly accepted. I sent her a message and she went, yes, let's go for it. So thank you so much. Just a warm welcome to those who are joining us. Please put any thoughts, any questions in the chat. We'll be saying hello to everybody. Just want to, in fact, I'll wait to do the introduction officially till Jennifer gets on. I'll take a moment and do it then. Just a few words, if we may. This is part 2 of embodying your soul. So it's going to be a very, very interesting conversation, I think. And Jennifer's got such a beautiful mind, and in regards to the soul, etc. So without any further ado, hopefully she'll be ready, and I'm going to invite Jennifer Rose onto the studio. Thank you.
Hi, Colin. Hi, everyone.
Jennifer.
Yay. Hello. Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everybody for being here. So just, I'd like to, embodying your soul, what a perfect topic to discuss. But I just want to, I didn't do your bio. I thought I'll wait till you come on and do it. I don't know what happened there. So I had
it's too long anyways. It's like reading a book.
I had a glitch.
It's okay. Hi, everyone.
Thank you all for joining us. So, in fact, we'll say hello. Patrick. Hi, Patrick. Thanks for joining us. Vivian. Off you go, Jennifer. Please say hello to everybody.
Hi, Patrick. Hi, Vivian. Aloha. Hi, Jennifer McCormick. Hello, Jacqueline. Like your butterfly.
Hey, Jennifer Maxley and Lynn. Hi.
Awesome. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Vivian.
Hi,
Aloha.
Evelyn.
Hello, Evelyn. She was waiting for us early. She's so sweet.
Oh, thank you, Evelyn.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think most of you know. Oh, Margaret's here. Hi, Margaret.
Hey, Margaret.
Thank you for joining us. So, I think most of you who are on at the moment know both Jennifer and myself, but I'm still going to just a little bit about Jennifer as a transformational guide. I'm going to say transmedium as well. Okay. I have to, it's easy to say, so I'm going to say transmedium. Medium, obviously, exceptional. I love it. Healer, channeler. Now, I do know a little bit about Jennifer's channel as well as the other stuff. The channeling, I absolutely love. That capacity, what Jennifer's got for channeling. That's a personal thing for me because I've witnessed it and I know there's a purity to it, which can't be questioned. So, having said that, and I can't forget that you have your own show. You're very busy these days, popping on all these different things. I just want to say thank you to Kelly Brickle as well, who's doing absolutely amazing with Jennifer and all the other hosts, what Kelly's got and you've got together. I'm surprised you found the time to put your lipstick on, Jennifer.
Me too, but you know, we have our priorities in life, you know.
I have my last cigarette before I come on. You put your lipstick on. Everybody's got something, isn't there?
It puts it all together.
Oh, Evelyn, she channels, for you, Jennifer, she channels angelic vibrations.
Thank you,
Vivian,
Evelyn.
she's also a real angel. I totally agree. Totally agree with both of you.
Thank you. There's an angel in this background, but I'm hiding it. Unfortunately, she's hiding behind me. But thank you for talking about my trance, because it's not something I talk about very much, so it's nice when somebody else brings it up because I'm like, I can do that too. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And thanks to Kelly. She's allowing us to stream on her pages. We're over on the Sacred Spiral Network on YouTube and Facebook as well. So she's sharing the love. Yeah.
And Lynn, I was just going to mention Lynn, because Lynn, I love watching Lynn do ribbons. I love how she's got them hanging up, and that background is like, oh, somebody's finally doing the ribbons in such a nice way.
Yeah, and she does the flowers too, and so she's found her special niche. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Let's have a look what she's saying. Hi, Lynn. Actress Carol Lombard once said, I'm I am a woman in a man's world and do very well. But I never lose track of the fact that a woman's first job is to choose the right shade of lipstick.
It's true. I couldn't find the one I wanted, so I had to settle today. I was like, where did it go?
You guys.
But it is a bit like war paint, because so it's like I'm going in and obviously I'm not going into a war, but it's a way of like, going into the world and saying I'm here, So
Yeah.
Hey, Jill Santos.
Hi, Jill. Thanks for joining us. Lovely to have you with us. So I don't know. I think that was the comment so far. I don't know whether we missed any. So if you want to put any comments in, please do, guys. Just you're more than welcome. Say whatever you wish. It's not, in effect, it's not just me and Jennifer. We've got Ava behind the scenes, Kelly's sharing, etc. And you guys are here. It's a full-blown community. And we just do this together as far as I'm concerned. All of us are in it together. So it's more expansive than what we think, from my side anyway. So, right then, embodying the soul. Oof, where do we begin? Well, actually, we've got part 2. So, you've done a little bit of, you've been watching today. So, why don't you start us off, Jennifer, if that's all right?
Oh my. Okay. Yes, we talked about this back in January too. So, and the climate right now out there is, I'm like, it's a good time to kind of revisit the topic. I think to sort of help people understand like what's going on and why things are happening and why people are doing what they're doing. Because with understanding comes growth and comes elevation. It gives us an opportunity. But when we don't understand, our psyche can get very confused and a bit split, and that's very uncomfortable. So how can we find a way that we can understand what's happening? Because with the understanding, then we can actually improve it too.
Yeah.
Make things better.
Yeah, I would definitely. We know, again, I'm probably repetitive with this, but for some reason it's constant. The awakening is here. We know this. And for me, the awakening is the expansion of the psyche. And the psyche, we can quite easily say, is the soul, or an aspect or vibrations of the soul. And my understanding is we put ourselves through so many aspects. We have the free will, which is a different story altogether, but the free will is in there, connected to the soul, and these many vibrations. But I always kind of draw back to this event which is taking place on the planet regarding the soul. It's almost as if individually, yes, we know we're expanding our awareness, but also collectively. And we look at the rest of the world and we can see, okay, we can see the devastation and destruction, which is coming from a different angle. There's an aspect in there, obviously everything's interconnected, so it's in there somewhere for us to look at. However, as far as the soul is concerned, it's like a mass awakening of the light of the soul. That's how I see what's going on the planet. And then the question is, what is the soul? Where is it? Nobody's ever seen it, apparently. We know, or we have this most profound belief that it exists. But I get fascinated by not just by what it is, but the implications. And I think what you've just said is directly in there, in that mix, that we have these experiences and we grow from it and expand from it. So, love it. I'm just going to say hello to Simon Clark. Hi, Simon. I hope it's Simon.
Hey, Simon.
Yes.
Hi,
Simon. Thanks for joining us.
Sorry, I got a little bit of feedback in my AirPods, so apologize, guys. Ascending Butterfly, hello. Good to see you too. Hello, hello.
Yes.
And if anyone has questions about this topic, feel free. I think it's a good time because we're seeing a lot of changes in both women and men. So just in the changes of relationships and how the masculine and the feminine are responding to one another. And by the way, you give the word patriarch a good name. I love to call you the patriarch of our community, and you make that word, golden for us ladies. So thank you for that. That's what it's supposed to look like. So we're seeing a lot of dynamics change there. I mean, it's everywhere that I'm looking, and you even see it on the news of, you know, what's being spoken of, and then we've got more exposure of you know, people being sort of exposed for their darker sides that they were kept in hiding, and people are like, how does that happen? I looked up to that person. I thought that person was, you know, and this is including within the spiritual realm and spiritual community worldwide. And it's one thing to know information and to share information. It's a whole nother thing to actually embody the information where you are, you're holding it within you, and then it's part of who you are. And so when we can say all we want, but if we're not, like we said in the last episode, talking our talk and walking our walk and living that truth, then we are not actually conscious. You know, we're conscious of information, but we're not actually consciously aware, you know, or we are aware to a certain point, and then we're still deciding to use not good judgment and how we apply that information too. So we're using it in ways that are not healthy for the collective to grow.
Love it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
Lynn.
Yeah.
Do you want to read it, Jennifer?
I'm not sure whether we have proved the existence of the soul yet, but I do recall there have been studies in which they measure the body weight of a person just before and after they have passed over, and there is a weight differential that cannot be explained simply by other bodily functions shutting down. Yeah, so there's so many ounces or something of that consciousness or that energy. But we instinctively know there's something else going on. There's too much synchronicity that we can't explain that away as coincidence.
Yeah.
You know, I was just reminded of that right before we came on today too. I felt pulled to go outside and just stand in the sunlight for just a moment. And I realized that the music was matching exactly that. It was talking about the shaft of sunlight coming across your face. And I was like, there it is, you know, the signs. And it says, the signs are speaking to you. And I'm like, the signs are speaking to me. The signs are speaking to all of us. We just have to pay attention. Yeah.
So true.
So there's that. Cannot deny. This is in cannot deny, you know, but there's plenty to question.
Yeah,
I got questions.
That's what, I think it reaches a point where we get to we have a question in mind with our conscious awareness on certain frequencies, and then there's a moment where the vibration of knowing appears, and we can go with the knowing, and the question in mind is less. And I think we're moving close to the knowing as we ascend and expand and get clearer minded, if we can say, then we're getting closer to the knowing. I was interested in what you said a few minutes ago about embodiment. That's the title word, or the word in the title, embodying. How do we embody the soul and its light, if you like? And I think everybody, again, perceives it and understands it and relates to it in their own form. And yet, I 100% agree with what you've just said, Jennifer, about walking the talk. That for me that defines embodiment, where instead of intellectualizing the spiritual teachings and knowledge, we can just have knowledge of something and put it into storage. So we've got the spiritual teachings and spiritual knowledge, and the question is, are we going to live it? Are we going to live those teachings? And I think we're at the moment where that's the stage we're at, we've come from starting to understand what spirit actually is in the vastness of the cosmos and emptiness and beyond, etc. And we've got spiritualism, which is this kind of sorting office globally, where everybody goes in, they have the awakening and they want the spiritual information, they go looking for it. And it's this sorting office, or I don't know, the post office, it's a storage space where we all go to, whether it's online to Zoom meetings and pick up the information, or we're going on a course, etc., etc. We're gathering that information. So spiritualism is like the body in one respect. Spirituality, to me, this is really key, is the actuality. It says it in the word spirituality, actualize the teachings.
Thank you.
So then we've got spirit, spiritualism, and spirituality. And it's almost like a pyramid of reality, as I perceive it. And we're somewhere at the center point of it, constantly revolving in all those three aspects. And that then comes to the channeling, where we're receiving it, thinking it, analyzing it, dissecting it, and we're either going to be throwing it away or absorbing some of it. And what we absorb, then we put into action. So, okay, there we are. There's the key to embodying the soul. I love what Lynn said, to be honest, and if we can, I want to go back to it because I thought that was quite interesting. Thank you. Right, so it was the weight difference. I remember many years ago, Spirit guided me to this particular thing, and the weight difference, and to look at it and analyze it, and the weight difference between when the soul is in the body and when it's left. The body is slightly heavier after the soul is left, or when the spirit's gone, whichever anybody, however people.
I think it's lighter. I think it's lighter.
Oh, well, I could be wrong.
I think it weighs a smidge less, but I could be wrong too.
Right.
Because something about that energy, there's something about the weight of something. That's a good question. Let's see if somebody else knows.
Let's see if somebody knows, because my understanding of it was what it does. Let's go on the assumption is I read later. Oh, this is going to be interesting, because that my understanding is the body is heavier after death, because it's saying the light has left, so it's leaving some density behind, and it proves that I could be completely wrong here. It proves that the light is emanating the body. The light of the soul is in, and it's animating the body, and when it leaves, it drops the body, and then it's got a density to it. Guys, Google it. Somebody come up before the end of the show. Let's get this one sorted.
The beautiful thing is both could be true at the same time, because it's there's a bit of paradox, but when we understand this, it leads us into understanding that opposite things can be true at once. 23 grams lighter after we
23. Dominique, what are you doing? Are you measuring this, or how do you measure this then? 20.
You probably Googled it.
Lighter. Right, then it's reversed. Then I've got it completely wrong then, which is very interesting. Our soul supposedly right.
So then I thought it's heavier, and so it's kind of like the Mandela effect. You know what I mean? So it's like which they're both true. I'm just going to say they're both true, because they both make sense. One makes sense in a more scientific way, and one makes sense in a more metaphysical, etheric way.
Yeah.
So, isn't that interesting? But that's important, because we're understanding that to be able, our minds, our psyches, our personalities, when we can hold the opposites, without freaking out, we're in a good place. There's a movie about it. Yeah. And that's a good thing, because one of the things we're seeing now out on the world stage is people like to take sides, and that's not wrong. Sometimes I have my, because we talked about having a conscious and clearly knowing the difference between right or wrong. But sometimes there's people that can only see in black and white. they can't see all of the grays in between, right? And that's not being able to hold the dark and the light together. When we're only seeing black or we're only seeing white, we're not able to hold the dark and the light together. And that is embodying soul consciousness, means you've integrated those aspects and you can hold these at once too. It's very difficult sometimes too, especially when things happen to you personally and you're like somebody you love and trusted who was once, so kind to you, then all of a sudden does a switch on you and is like very mean to you. And how do you rectify that? Do you decide they're a good person? Do you decide they're a bad person? Like what was that all fake? Not necessarily, right? And so we have to be able to see all the shades of gray in between and be able to hold that without our minds just kind of flipping out on us, and we can't handle it too. But it goes the same on the world stage when you see people, they just kind of doing that. Not wrong or right, this is just how people are. But when we move up the ladder of awareness, then we're able to understand things from the higher perspective and then the more immersed perspective too. So I can look at the world and see synchronicity and divine order. And I can also say what's happening right there is abusive. And I know why it's abusive, because that's unintegrated behavior.
Yeah.
Too. So Carl Jung, famous quote, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. And we'll blame spirit, we'll blame the outside circumstances, and we won't be able to see how anything could be inside of us that we could be contributing to the fact, to what's happening too. And until we can come to that place, we'll be in black and white. We'll be on the playground of power plays and manipulation and all of that, not looking at our own behaviors, our own things that we're doing. And it's always them, black and white, black and white, black and white, right? But we can do it.
Yeah, blaming the external.
But we can change. We can change and transform. And that's the biggest gift we can give to ourselves, to the people that we love and care about, and to the collective. It really is.
Totally agree. Absolutely beautiful, Jennifer. I love it. I think you're slipping into a bit of channeling just then. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Who me? I was just going to add, it's, because we're spiritual, we're in a spiritual community. This doesn't mean we have to act holy all the time and like perfect behavior. That's most likely conditioning. That's most likely a protective part of personality, driving the show. And we think that that's completely us, but that's a protective part, trying to please the world around us for safety, for approval. Very different from behaving in a way because that's authentically you, right? So there's the energy is very different. How it feels to other people is very different. And I will keep saying this moving on. If spiritual teachings and efforts don't make you a better human being, I don't know what it's for. To me, that's not conscious. To me, if it doesn't make you a better human being, if we're using spiritual concepts and teaching to justify behavior that's hurting others, because now you're back on the playground with the energies and you're using them unconsciously, or you're purposely using them unconsciously, and that's even more unconscious than lack of consciousness. Cheers.
Don't stop, Jennifer. Don't stop. It's fine.
I say, but there's we go on social media and there's all these like beautiful quotes and things like that, and some, they're meant for certain people who are on a certain path. So for example, we might tell our female counterparts, you don't have to keep explaining yourself, and it's like, because women will tend to need to explain themselves because they're trying to be heard, they're trying to get to the other person to understand, right? That's for somebody who is in a relationship where the power dynamics are not consensual or equal, and there's this thing happening between them, right? But if we're the person who is doing behavior that's harmful to another, and I say, well, I don't have to explain myself, well, then what you're doing is you're just justifying your behavior using a concept that was meant to help somebody else who's trying to become more empowered. Does that make sense? I don't have to explain myself. I'm right to be able to hurt this person however I want. I can ghost them, I can manipulate them without having to give them an explanation or any closure and leave that person leaving confused and wounded. But somebody who has already tried to explain themselves and then decides to go a different path, they don't need to. So it's just one example that came up in a conversation recently, so that's why that's at the top of my head. So
no, this is beautiful, Jennifer. This is kind of what we're looking at, is those vibrations of consciousness which previously was hidden for us in the unconscious mind. Like you said, it's so true. The unconscious mind will try to lead us, and it will use and manipulate energies and emotions accordingly in order to have that control. Now we're at the point, as we know, that we're moving towards the unconscious mind is revealing itself. That's the expansion. For me, is where we're expanding our consciousness. It means the unconscious mind is now being revealed. We've got
Thank
some
God.
absolutely. Oh, I'm going to press pause here for a minute.
Yeah, we've got some feedback, but I said thank God to what you said.
We've got.
Hi, Ed.
Yeah, please. I was just going to say, Jennifer, please say hello to everybody, because we've had new people. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And there's some amazing comments what I wanted to really try and at least touch on each one of them if we can. Please say hello to everybody.
Hi, Charlene. Hi, Charlene. Good to see you.
Hi, Charlene.
Who else we got?
And we've had Dominique. Hi, Dominique. Oh, Dominique's
Hi,
here.
Dom.
Great to have you with us, Dominique. I'm going to come back to some of what he said in a minute. Simon's back. Hi, Simon. Brilliant comments. Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Ed, Odell. Thanks for joining us. And everybody else I can't see, thank you so much for joining us. So, if I may, I just want to quickly go to, there was one, and I'm going to backtrack here. Here it is. It was Vivian's comment. Thanks for this comment, Vivian. Where is this knowing leading us? There you go. What do you think, Jennifer? Okay. Where's this knowing leading us?
Okay, so I've had this, and I can call it a theory, but it's worked for a while, that we have beliefs, and then beliefs can turn into knowings, which are, they're more reinforced than beliefs. But then sometimes even knowings can change because we get more information and then we mature and we see things differently. And so even then what we thought we knew, but then there's this sort of cannot deny. That's where you're in that, like, you've really crossed the threshold. But for the most part, knowing is a knowing. It's a pulse inside of you that is guiding you all the time. Or you're connected to it at least most of the time. I mean, we can, no one's perfect, right? We can kind of go in and out like this, right? But where it would lead us is to being conscious of the dream. So this reality, then we become conscious that we're in this reality. It doesn't mean we leave the reality or escape the reality, but we live the reality more consciously, which means it has the ability to change. We have the ability to change, to transform, to mature, to elevate, to evolve, whatever word we want to use. And it's kind of important. I get a little bit looking around sometimes, and I can't watch too much news. I am very limited because it's not a good frequency to expose myself to. But I know I can't be totally ignorant of what's happening in the world. But I just go, oh, we got a little work we could do there, and too. That said. When things start becoming, there's more exposure, the light is now shining a light on the things that we can do that that need more love and attention and focus, then we have that opportunity to bring more light into it and to actually transform it. Anytime we unbury bones, that's my metaphoric term, and bring them into the light, that's where transformation happens.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And I'm gonna this is, I love this. The word itself has got something to me. The meaning of the word, again, just for everybody's, these are all our own kind of comments, so personal to us. And we know everybody's perception is different. So, and respectfully, knowing to me is when we are well, no, I'm not going to pull the punches on that one. Knowing comes from the soul. It comes from being in tune with the soul for me, where there are no questions. There's no learning. We've been born in a world where we think we've got to learn everything, and that's held us back, and it's kept us down to a certain point. I've got to learn this. I've got to learn that, and we do this in the spiritual space. I've got to learn this. I've got to learn. If we can tap into the light of our soul, the knowing will lead us on every occasion. Now that's where it becomes, I want to use the word complex, but it's not one of my favorite words, but it can appear as complex, i.e., well, we're here to learn. Personally, Colin disagrees with that concept. Because I believe one thing. I believe when we walk in the light of our own soul, we are knowing beings. We know we are knowing beings, and I use the word we know. We're using it. I know I am a knowing being. Well, hang on, I've got to be careful. We know we are knowing beings, okay? So we can't say we know we are knowing beings. We've got to bring them two together and just know. Because if we know that we're knowing beings, it's telling us, well, you already know that then. So have the knowing. That's just one aspect of it. The other one is, I believe on the path of, and I'm going to use the word enlightenment, because I believe deeply that regardless of being in a spiritual space, as we call it, each of us is on the path of enlightenment. Okay, now we can play with the word and the concept, is there a path or isn't there? Really there isn't, but we use it generally for people to whatever. So we're on the path to attain complete enlightenment. Some can even argue and say, okay, we're already enlightened. To a degree we are, because we know we are light, so we're emitting that energy and that consciousness. But full enlightenment is a different ballgame for me, my understanding. So on the path of enlightenment, it's going to take us beyond learning. We reach a point of no more learning, and at that point, we become knowing beings. Now, the question is, does the knowing stay with us at all times, or do we just use it? Can we trip in and out of it? Can we move in and out of it? I think, and this is exactly where your point is, which I think is a brilliant point, Vivian. Where is the knowing leading us? If we can all get into the knowing state of being, we can then kind of imagine. We will know at that point, but we can imagine what sort of world we're going to be living in. Imagine everybody is all knowing, and they're waking off that intuitively on every moment. In knowing, there's no question, there's no doubt. We simply know. And the magical thing for me in this whole aspect of knowing, we've all experienced the knowing energy. Some think, I know this is going to happen. We've seen something or seen something. I know it's going to happen. And even people doubt us around and go, no, that's not going to happen. And it's been proven. It's like, there you go. And we often go, well, you see, look, I tried telling you, but So, and we've done that. We've already experienced it. And this is what I absolutely love. We're in a time where the knowing is coming to the surface more and more and more and more. And if we can get with the knowing, that will do something else. It will speed our vibrations up because we spend so much time learning. Final aspect, because this is such a broad topic, which I love it. But when we get to that point where we can attain the vibration and embody the light of the soul to the point of knowing. Hang on, I've just got thinking, Colin, we can yeah, Lynn. So we're at that moment in evolution where, and I believe that's one of the main important aspects we've come to this world, is to take ourselves beyond learning to the point of knowing, and knowing at all times, in every moment of that knowing energy with consciousness. That's where I come from. Going back to Carl Jung, he said, believe in God, but knows. Okay, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, I like that too. And my only caveat is the knowing comes with more and more awareness. So our knowing gets stronger and more solidified with more awareness. Because if we are not unified, then we're going to say, I just know about that. I just know. Yeah. And then, do you really? Like, you know what I mean? And so there are times where we're just so certain it is a way because of the story that's playing out in the mind. And we haven't questioned the story, right? So the knowing that we're talking about is a little bit different. It's a finer frequency. It's a finer frequency that's also within the heart and the solar plexus, you know, that guides us without us having to even think about it so much, if that makes sense too. And I know there's a whole bunch of comments here about knowing, and so it'd be great to explore what everybody else is saying. And then I got some questions. What if, you know, so we have this belief, we know that through the human journey of from the time, you know, we were created to the time we're now, we have an understanding that through adversity, we transform and grow and become more enlightened, and that the suffering in us is also what transforms us and gives us, you know, the maturity. So basically, like, you know, we go through these initiation periods and all that time we go, oh, I learned so much from that terrible experience. What if that's not entirely true? I'm just putting a what if. What if somebody just said it should be that way so that we'd all believe it, and then we've all believed it for centuries, and then that's what we've made our reality to be, that the only way to find happiness in the end is we must suffer so much first, or the only way to get enlightenment is that we must suffer. But here we are looking out going, there's an awful lot of suffering out there. Does it really have to be this way? And we're all kind of, you know, and a lot of the concepts that we've been given tell us it does. And it's okay to have the understanding of it, but are we allowed to question? Are we allowed to question what we all believe and think we know? And if we question it, then does that open a doorway or a pathway or another way that it could be that we don't? I mean, we kind of touched on this last time too. And like, what if a lot of the teachings, which sound so beautiful and soft and loving, reinforce us to live a life that is smaller than our fullest potential of our soul?
I think you've just said it.
You know, I'm just like, what if? Just what if? And so it's just like, it's a thing that make you go, Yeah. These questions, you know, they're in me a lot lately. I see portals of pathways of like, they're showing me like, there's another way. What if us as facets of the creator of the universe, of source, because we are that. Yeah. What if we said, hey, let's go down and play this game on planet Earth, and we're going to give ourselves all of these answers and teachings and knowings, and we're going to do it that way over the centuries, and let's see if we even question it. let's see if we can stop and say, well, all of those teachings explain why things are that way are so that we can sleep at night. But will we ever get to the point where we question it, where we question the knowing that's been passed on from the beginning until now? That we're all channeling it. It's been in scripture, it's been on all this, and we teach it, and it's all part of it. And what if at some point we said, hey, let's see if we actually can come so consciously aware that we'll question what we all believe and think we know. Sorry, I'm a rebel.
Trust me, Jennifer, that is not rebellious. That's a beautiful mind. That is an absolute beautiful, because it's correct. This is correct. This is, just on one note of what you're saying is, this is the whole point of this expansion and ascension. It's not an expansion around us taking place. We're expanding into the space around us, which means exactly what you've just said. We're going to move beyond the self-imposed limitations of our own conscious awareness. Those chains are finally being ripped off and dissolved and transformed, whatever we want to call it. And in doing so, we know a light shines inside us, and as that light shines, we then become aware of thoughts, what we wouldn't previously have had. For some reason, we've been distracted. This is my view on this. We have landed on the planet and we have been distracted, especially and conditioned, especially by the external, whatever they are. That we know the list now. In order to keep us working on the emotional vibrations within us and on the dense frequencies of our own awareness. So it's like we've been placed in this almost corner, and then we go, okay, let's have a look what else is here. We've got emotions, we've got the logic. Right, let's start applying some logic here. It's a bit like wisdom and compassion. If we only use compassion, we're going to be in trouble all the time. We're going to be in trouble. If we apply some wisdom, then we maintain a sense of equilibrium. So we're starting to understand what logic is. Well, it's simple. It's 1 and 1. The emotion will say, well, 1 and 1 can equal 5 or 15. I can play with that. Because emotional is this active, creative mind. The logic is like a cold calculating mathematician. He goes, right, calm down. 1 and 1 equals 2. Behave. Do you understand? It's what is 2. Stop letting your mind run off with those low, dense, vibrational emotions. So what that does, again, logic and emotion gives us equilibrium. So even though we want to respond emotionally to some situations, the logic is going, let's just debate this, shall we? Because I've got a little bit of mood what you might not be aware of. And we go, I don't want to, no. I'm like feeling like this. So we go, okay, we're back to that, what you said earlier, that 2 sides, the polarity aspect, but being in the middle and holding that space and saying, it is what it is. I could use the knowing. I could say, I have the knowing of what I'm about to say. But let's just say, so I'll swap it. I go, I believe. Because if we sit here saying, I know this, then everybody's going to go, yeah, right. So let's go, I believe the situation at the minute is this. We are really pushing the boundaries of our own mind. Not the brain. The brain is part of the physical. It's just the brain is the engine in a car. We're the driver of the car, which means the soul, the light, is the driver of this vehicle. So everything's based on the mind operating the vehicle correctly. Okay. So we go, okay, what sort of driver am I? What sort of mind have I actually got? Well, it's limitless. There's no limits. Exactly what you're saying. And in so doing, we can then say, right, up to this stage of evolution, however, when time began, if we go back to that, up to this moment in time, we've lived in a certain way. Now everything's on the table. without limit. Absolutely no limits. Last thing, I liken it quickly on into this way. I think humanity at the moment, since wherever we go back into the past, has been attuned to a certain spectrum of wavelengths and frequencies. And in that, when we've gone through experiences what we've deemed painful, we've been missing the truth. Like you said, what if there's something different? What if something else is going on and we've missed the point? Well, it is. We've been in a dark room looking around and we haven't bothered to switch the light on. Now we've found the light switch and we switched it on. And the world appears different to us, inside us. So what we're saying is, are we moving to a completely new spectrum of knowledge and awareness? For me, it's unquestionable. And on those new wavelengths, on that new spectrum, is where all these beautiful questions now start coming. The knowing is in there again, but this is where the questions, what you've just said, the what if one, Jennifer, is right there before us now. And then we can say, okay, well, if we're opening up to a new spectrum of awareness, where does the dimensions and other realms come into play? The fourth dimension, the fifth. So I go, okay, let's put them together. The fourth dimension and the fifth and sixth, maybe seventh, whatever, they have their own spectrum of frequencies of knowledge. We need to just take our mind to them and expand. And not just for 2 minutes, not just channel for 10 minutes or connect with spirit or cosmic beings for 2 minutes. No, we need to embody this completely, and not be frightened of it and say, we are celestial beings of awareness. And in that is this vast expanse. And something more beautiful happens in it. That love and light permeates the space around us. And in that is whatever magical aspects. And that attunement to cosmic beings happens spontaneously. Spiritual beings, spontaneous. This whole business of closing down, don't shine your light, let's get it down here. We've come out of a world of that nature. Yeah, we've just come out. We're fighting against the conditions, and we've got to be careful not to impose similar vibrations of those same conditions on us. It's like, no, open up as much as what you wish, with you and your beings of light, what's guiding you. Regulate it as and when you go forward. And it's like, and that way we can really truly start to embody the soul. There's masses of comments coming in. I'm like,
yes. I know Ed had some about knowing too, and we are a creationary force, and we just to expand on what you're saying. We are part of a creationary force, like the God, source, creator, whatever is creative and really creative. Like, wow. But we're here fueling creation, right? So we have that within us. So if concepts are telling us we're not allowed to want anything, or we're not allowed to desire anything, or we're not allowed to have a mind of our own or have a say in something, then what happens is there's all of these repressed and suppressed aspects within individuals. And that's when they are literally stuck in a dream that they can't consciously be aware of who's driving the bus at the moment, because now these pieces are kind of all split off and things like that. These repressed parts are trying to find a way out. And it's so what I would say is desire is good, want is good, needs are good. They're part of being human. We do need to remember that in the physical reality, we are part of a kingdom or queendom of humans and life itself, and it all has these different ways of playing it out. But it's when we are consciously aware that these desires and wants and needs exist, and we use them in a way that fuels creation productively without harm, that fuels evolution versus more destruction.
Yeah,
is what I wanted to add. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. Lovely to have you with us.
That's my girl.
Thank you. Yeah, go on, Jennifer. Sorry.
I was just saying, should we read some of the comments going back to knowing? Because we've got a lot of them all the way back to 12:30
Right.
12:35.
Do you know what, Jennifer? I totally agree, because I really love these guys, these comments. So welcome everybody what's joined us. I'm going to ask Ava to go through these comments, go as back as the last one, what we spoke about, and come forward. And we'll try, if we can, and give some short responses to it, if that's okay, and try and get through all these comments, if that's okay with you, Jennifer.
I think we started out with Ed at 12:36.
Okay.
Or we may go back. Oh, we may go farther back, actually. Evelyn says, keep an open mind, but don't let your brains fall out.
Yeah. So, Ed Odell. Thank you for that, Evelyn. So, Ed, so here's the thing. The knowing is leading us to a direct, open communication, giving us the ability to communicate honestly with each other. It's allowing both to understand without restriction, thoughts and feelings without repercussion. Oh, let's have a look. It's allowing both to understand without restriction, thoughts and feelings without repercussion. Good point, Ed.
And then he goes on to say, and then he put another comment after that saying the true conscious connecting to the conscious collective as allowing both space and time and individualism to be able to come together on a positive growth period in which we all share a common goal and understanding. And he's like, sorry, Jen, you know, this is one of my favorite topics. Don't apologize. That's beautiful.
Sorry, I just want to read that because I missed it. Sorry, Ava. Right, the true conscience connecting to the conscious collective. Okay, so he's using two different words here, Ed. You're using two different words. So I presume you are conscious that you are using them. Conscience is different from consciousness. So the true conscience connecting to the conscious collective as allowing both space and time and individualism to be able to come together on a positive growth period in which we all share a common goal. I really like that one, Ed. I've got to confess, because there is a very clear difference between conscience and conscious. And on that note of conscience, that triggers me in a nice way and goes back to the weight of the soul and where the soul goes at the point of transition. I believe the conscience, once it's with the Egyptians, used to weigh it, and that determined which way the soul went. So the heavier the conscience, obviously, the more wrongdoing more wrongdoing was done. So it's interesting that we've gone from the weight of the soul to conscience. Brilliant point, Ed. I just put that one in, Jennifer. We'll go to the next one if that's okay, Eva.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful, though. I think we got one from Jennifer McCormick. Oh, there is an interesting point of view. If we're attempting to achieve enlightenment, what is that force that's trying to prevent us from being as such? If it is not known as evil or not known as demonic, is there another force that we have not contemplating? If there's any prevent us from being as such, I'm going to propose, what if we did it just to test ourselves? Just to test to see if we could challenge ourselves of the status quo of all of these centuries that we've been here so far. What if we did it? And we just never thought of it that way. Like, we were so smart that we're like, let's see how long it takes for us to figure out our own game, because we're all connected. What if? It's just a what if.
Do you know what? This is a good point, they said. And I had to read it a couple of times because I wanted to try and figure it out. I agree with yours, definitely, Jennifer, because it's like, what if it's ourselves? And I'm going to kind of, hopefully, it's going to be complimenting what you've just said at the same time. Karma, Ed. Karma is, I don't want to say the main force, but karma is interconnected to all things, still at this moment in evolution. Now, I know some people are steering away from karma these days, but we can't, for me, cause and effect still apply. Our actions will still have an effect, and et cetera, et cetera. So karma is in there, and it's individual karma as well as collective. Funny enough, there has been a determined effort to prevent humanity from becoming enlightened, of course, because enlightenment empowers the individual and the collective at the same time. But I'm not going to open it any further than that. So really good point, Ed. Karma. If we're going to the next one, if that's okay.
Yeah. And I mean, there's no doubt that there's behaviors in this world that are just incomprehensible. But are those behaviors the same as the light of our being?
Yeah.
So can we, this is where we have to be able to hold the paradox, hold the light of the soul, and the darkness of the behaviors. And I'm careful with the word darkness, because dark isn't, it's just unilluminated or unseen, right? But I do believe we can question what we're seeing and how we're explaining it away, question all of our explanations, and would that trigger another level of understanding or another space that we could enter that would be something totally different? And then here's the kicker. That unknown is going to scare the shit out of people because we don't know what's in the door. And sorry.
No, that's true.
But we don't know what's in there. And so people, we like to be in the familiar. We like to be in the safe. We have to be in the comfortable. But now we're like, the comfortable is becoming uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And so even expansion, the more we get expansion, we start to get scared because there's unknown in expansion. We want to go back down to the safe and the comfortable. But now we're like, as getting too uncomfortable, we want to go back out here again. And that means stepping into an unknown space. We have no idea what it's going to be like.
Yeah. I agree. I think Ed's got a good point. Is there another factor playing out here? On that note, with what you've just said, Jennifer, and Ed referred to, is there's always a slight no. There's a knowing. There's a cautious knowing in this respect. If that's probably not the right terminology, but these limitations, external, what's being imposed externally, and the internal self-imposed limitations, could have prevented us, even up to this point, of seeing that force which Ed refers to. There could be something else beyond, which is going, okay, this is the way it's going to be. I come back to the point you made. We've done it to ourselves. We are responsible. We're responsible, and we should take, and somebody mentioned it earlier, and I think it was Dominic, ownership of it. But I know time's going to be running out in a minute, so
we got about 10 minutes. Until we make the conscious, it will rule our lives, and we'll blame fate, we'll blame each other, we'll blame spirit. Yeah. So it's balance.
Jennifer McCormack, just as I had a quick look about the way before and after death in 1907, Dr. Duncan McGougal attempted to measure the weight of the soul by weighing 6 patients just before and after they died, and claimed 1 patient lost about 21 grams. What about the other 5? It was disregarded by the scientific community due to tiny sample size, unreliable measurements, and inconsistent results. Interesting. Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the time and looking that up, Jennifer McCormack. That's so kind of you to do that. Brilliant. I love this interaction with everybody.
Yeah, it's helpful because it sometimes we hear something really cool and then we like ride with it. Right. And then, and like now, like, okay, wait a minute, there's more information, and it's just a matter of like taking the time just to kind of go check it out. Yeah. Okay, Evelyn. If we can put Evelyn back up there.
Yeah. Question: if we create our reality and have been doing the way, I like how you put that, doing the way, to clear what no longer serves us, and are making delightful progress. I like, delightful progress. Yet I've received unfavorable health news. Is the point to change our reality in our minds as everything's possible, or is the grace in accepting the new reality? Does this make sense? Both, Evelyn. I love this. I'm gonna like be real quick. Both. Changing our perception and I'm sorry to say this, but I'm not. Acceptance is not just a word. I'm so pleased you put this, Craig, Evelyn. Acceptance runs so deep. It's as deep as the ocean, and the deeper we can get to pure acceptance, our life will be so much more peaceful. We suffer, we have a tumultuous mind and consciousness and problems and issues for one reason: we fail to accept. And that's the controlling part of our nature, what we're trying to overcome at the moment. Lack of acceptance causes, well, things beyond, I ain't got no words for it. Because pure acceptance is, and spontaneous acceptance. Acceptance in itself on all those beautiful levels is one thing. Pure acceptance and spontaneous acceptance is similar to spontaneous compassion. It's phenomenal. This is a really good point, Evelyn. Jennifer.
Yeah, and Evelyn, we still don't know what happens next for you too, and we can. It's good to go in and see like what we're believing about what we have going on, because even though we've done the work, there's always more layers that we can do, you know. And so I'm having an issue with my shoulder, and it's limiting my range of motion and what I can do. It's getting better because I've been doing, you know, all the things I do anyways are helpful for my shoulder. But I had a switch of mind into, instead of like resisting and kind of like complaining about it, to like, wait a minute, like, it's a messenger, and it's a loving messenger. It's telling me something it wants me to know. And then the aha moments kind of came to me of like what it was representing. And I started actually giving more love, which is something I always encourage other people to do, but sometimes forget to do myself. And I was like giving love. I know it's not the same thing what you got going, Evelyn, but we don't know what this latest news that you've gotten is going to lead you, where it's going to lead you. And it might be a surprise that it's going to lead you somewhere good, right? But one thing, just because the health aspect is so big for so many people are on health journeys right now too, including myself, is to remember and believe that our bodies, while we're in them, are conscious. They have consciousness in them while we're inhabiting them. And then when we leave, then that changes. And so while we have this really complex, intelligent conscious system that is our body, it is working for you on your behalf. So it's never working against you. So if we can change our thinking and remember that our bodies are working for us, and what can we do to work for it, and how we can integrate then mind, body, spirit, mind, body, soul, and bring it all together. So we could say on a positive note, it's going to lead you somewhere unknown, but elevating for you too. And so you haven't failed. In the short, you have not failed. You've been doing the work. You're doing everything right. You're growing. I have seen the light in you just get brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. And so this new news doesn't mean you've failed or done anything wrong. And I do feel that you'll move into a space where you'll understand where this is leading you to. So if we can just be open to, like Colin says, not resisting it, accepting this is where we are right now, but then that doesn't mean you don't have the power to keep going and keep making more decisions and keep making, following your guidance, because you've done the work, which gives you the guidance to know what to do next. And that's kind of exciting, because receiving this news a year ago or 2 years ago probably would have affected you emotionally differently than it is affecting you this week, if that makes sense. Sorry, it was a long answer. It's 1:11. Look at that. 1:11, Evelyn. But we did a show on acceptance, abiding in acceptance. We did that last year, the year before. Yeah. Embracing what is. And we can still change it, though. We still have the power to change it. It's just the trick is the resistance. You're muted, Colin.
Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah. Evelyn, while Jennifer was talking and beautiful words, what she was saying, I had somebody step forward, to be honest, and I'm going to tell you this. So you you've got a lot of healing going on around, which you already know. Okay. But I also want to say something else. There was another person, somebody in spirit. I want to give you the thumbs up, which is quite positive. We know things always turn out in the end. We know that one, but this moment is where we're at. And then they showed me different people in the world of spirit around you, Evelyn. We had no intention of doing this tonight whatsoever. So I know I shouldn't do this where Jennifer is really, but it's in. So because we didn't say we was going to do anything of this nature, but I want to make a reference to a doctor, Evelyn. There's doctors in the world of spirit, you know what's around you, but you actually know a doctor in the spirit world, and they letting you know that doctor you knew or know of, who a person when he was alive was a doctor, and you know of them, is also around you, looking over you. Okay? I don't want to let me say any more, apart from smiling. I want to smile, Evelyn. Okay? Beautiful. We're going to go to Vivian's, if that's okay.
Perfect.
Oh, go on, Jennifer. Did you want to add to her?
I just was going to say we love you, Vivian. I mean, we love you, Evelyn and Vivian. Sorry, we're getting some feedback, so I'm going to mute while you go.
Sorry, Jennifer. Okay, Vivian. Wow. Yes, knowing energy. It's true, Vivian. Change our substance in that. How do it? This one, Evelyn. How do we know? How do we know? Okay, very quickly. We've all experienced the knowing. There's been them moments where mediums do it a lot. I know I've got spirit. Okay. And it goes back to what Jennifer says. If we're on such a high frequency, the knowing is very clear and it's unquestionable. If that makes sense. I want to say hi to Kim Princess. Hi, Kim. Simon Clark. Yes, that one. That's what I was looking at. I haven't read it all, but I wanted to see that. As from the stream source from the mountain, it becomes the ocean, only to return when the clouds release that weight of its rain. Simon, I'm going to read it again. Sorry, I kind of got it, but I want to make sure I've captured it. As from the stream's source from the mountain, it becomes the ocean, only to return when the clouds release that weight of its rain. I like that. Well, quite poetic, that, Simon. I think you got quite an interesting mind, Simon, actually. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, only to return when the clouds release it again. Well, I don't want to say cycle. You see, this is the other point what I wanted to make, Jennifer. The cycle. We say there's a cycle of life. I actually believe that that's part of the old system. I think what's happening now is we can call it the spiral of life. Everything is a spiral. So we're not going round in the same old loop, because like we say, you're going round in circles. Like, I don't believe we are. What's happening, and this is where I believe when we step forward and we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, it never happens. We take 2 steps forward and it's 2 steps. Like, forget the emotions, the logic is in again. So it goes, it's 2 steps. Can you count them? 1, 2, you've done it. Okay. Forget about the one going backwards because it didn't happen. You come forward. Okay. And this is what it all reminds me of. That the cycle, when we say you're going round in the same old cycle, we understand that. But in effect, what's happening is we're constantly moving up or down a spiral within our own awareness. And we can get to decide which direction we want to go in. Jennifer, I'm just flying through everything because I know you're going to have to jump off any minute.
Yeah. We're going to have to do part 3. But I mean, this is where the good stuff is at. This is where we get some, pretty incredible growth. And I feel really honored to be sharing this space with you. And Ava's taking good care of us and all of you, all of our viewers and friends that are here too, because it's like we can't be this without each other too. And you're absolutely right. It's just, because I've had posts that I've channeled and written 5 years ago, and they come back into the memory and they're exactly what's applying to today. But it's not a cycle, it's the spiral, because there's depth to each layer that we move up to, and it's like, but this is when we kind of have the knowings, because the the information that we channel, because it's something just to keep in mind. Whatever really stands the test of time and is meaningful and positive and keeps us in this, expanded and not like this. So when information makes you go like this, that's a but when information stands the test of time and keeps you open, that's where you're in the knowing. That makes sense. And you're in that knowing too. So it's like, I know we're trying to describe in words something that we can't exactly touch, right? So we're trying to find ways to be like, that's how you know. Too. But what a beautiful day. I love talking about this stuff. My mind's really happy. My heart's really happy. I love all of you so much. So it's a happy day.
Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you to everybody for joining us. I'm really sorry we can't get on those final questions. I am going to copy and paste them when we finish as best as I can. If I can catch ones, we will. And I'm going to put them to one side, and hopefully we're going to get through some of them next time. Jennifer, final comments. Tell us about what you've got coming up, if you will, please.
A little bit of everything. I've got my next Sunday service a week from tomorrow. And I've got Karen Perry, our animal communicator, coming on, and our beautiful Kim Princess is going to be sharing something as well. So we're very excited about that too. On Monday, Nancy and I are doing our Fashionably Spiritual. It's going to be a half hour later because we're doing my newest show announcement at 6. So we just kind of got that all figured out. So we'll get that all posted out this weekend for you guys, probably tomorrow. So thank you for that. And then I'm working on a lot of projects behind the scenes too. So I'm taking a little while, time to get back to messages and things, but I'm doing my best for everybody too. But I just want to say to everybody, like, try your best to keep your frequency high right now too, because it's going to keep you in a state of peace of mind. It doesn't mean, like, you know me, I'm all about feeling your feelings and allowing them to move through you and not suppressing them or denying them too. But this is the time where if we can keep our frequency higher, then we have actually more to offer the world than getting kind of like pulled down into it, if that makes sense too. And so I know from Spirit World, they've been really trying to kind of lift everybody into this state to where we can stay functioning and with clarity of mind. So in that high space, we're able to hold the positivity and still recognize where we can do better too. So stay in the love is a rebel right now.
And so needed and so important, Jennifer. So it needed so much. We've had a message from a friend in Oman earlier, asking for prayers for the countries out there which are facing what they're facing right now. I think we all need to do exactly what you've said. Keep our vibration as high as possible. Please, whatever you do, everybody, protect your mind. Try and not get drawn in or drawn down to too much of what you're going to be seeing on the news at the minute and in the days ahead. But praying for every soul wherever they are in the world, and probably more than anything, trying to unite humanity so these wars and conflicts and everything comes to a standstill as soon as possible. We are in the midst of great change. It's going to be exceptionally tumultuous, like it is for them out there and other parts of the world. And all I can say is that hold steady as best as you can. Keep your guides and keep close as you possibly can to your spiritual guides, and stay in that light. Don't step out of your light. Stay in your light, and we can change and get through this period of time. Mm-hmm. Jennifer Rose, it's been, as always, an absolute blessing and pleasure. To everybody whose questions we couldn't get through, and we didn't get a chance to say to Heidi, hi, and Annie, etc., who's joining us late. Thank you to everybody, and thank you to Spirit and those celestial beings for allowing us to expand in this space. and we'll see you all very soon. Lots of love to everybody. Jennifer, thank you so much. Thank you, Ava, working behind the scenes, doing everything. See you very soon. May the light be with everybody.
Love you all so much. Thank
Lots
you.
of love to everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you, Jennifer. Amazing stuff.